Hello, Jeffrey. Tis I, Joseph, getting my first essay in a little late. I'm sorry, I was given some bad information, and one thing led to another. So I'm going to do it now. I hope it suffices. I chose to do the question that says agree or disagree. It's number 4. Agree or disagree. Those that have called the Irish backward and uncivilized are correct. I'm going to disagree with that, and I'm going to give obviously a few points. So during week 1, we had to read uh, I forget what pages it was, but I'm going to read a quote from the week 1 readings. It's on page 6 of How the Irish Saved Civilization by Thomas Cahill. The Irish, proclaimed Benjamin Disraeli, Queen Victoria's beloved Prime Minister, hate our order, our civilization, our enterprising industry, our pure religion. This wild, reckless, indolent, uncertain, and superstitious race have no sympathy with the English character. Their idea. It's all in my mouth. Where did I leave off? Their ideal of human felicity is an alteration of clannish broils and coarse idolatry, i.e., Catholicism. Their history describes an unbroken circle of bigotry and blood. When I first started reading this, I believed that to be true because that's all I knew about Irish history. I didn't know anything about it prior to taking this course. So, at this point, I disagree with that. I disagree with everything that they say. I'm going to say that because Queen Victoria's Prime Minister said they hate our order, our civilization, and our enterprising industry, da 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 da. They hate England. They hate, the British in general. I think that it's if someone hates you, or you can hate them back. I think that's the best way to put it. When it comes to being uncivilized and reckless and things like that, I disagree that they're uncivilized because for the past few weeks we've been talking about how they've tried to find civilization, but either the Vikings have come in and invaded and destroyed and burned down monasteries and killed monks, innocent people. I have another quote here by St. Patrick. Did I lose that last one? I had one more. I have one more by St. Patrick. And I think Ireland just needed someone to come in and say, you know what? This is what we have to do. I don't think that they're uncivilized because of who they are or where they come from. I think that they're seen as uncivilized because they had no one person or one group of people to really base their whole culture around. This is from page 109 of Thomas Cahill, How the Irish Saved Civilization. In his last years, he could probably look out over an Ireland transformed by his teaching. According to tradition, at least, he established bishops throughout northern, central, and eastern Ireland. This is talking about St. Patrick, again on page 109. And I'd like to say, he could probably look out over an Ireland transformed by his teaching. That's what I believe is a point for what I'm trying to say here, that they can be civilized. They just need someone to look up to. Someone that can bring them all together so they can have one pride in their culture, one pride in being called Irish. So I think when St. Patrick came through with teaching Catholicism, I think that was obviously a huge step for Ireland. And the last example I'm going to give is from the last cultural event we had this past Thursday about King Brian. That was his name. Yeah. Under High King Brian. The video we saw, Brian started out as this, teenager whose parents, he was in a monastery. The monastery, his father was killed by Vikings. And, Brian was like, you know what, I'm done with this whole monastery thing. There has to be something we can do. because it just, the monasteries were under attack for the most part at that time. So he went to go get trained. He got trained, and then he ran into his brother, and then, long story short, he ended up becoming this high king because he was the one who was that one person to tell. He got all the clans together, all the different clans of Ireland that were at the time rivals, people they didn't talk to, all these other chieftains, and they were like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to form one big coalition to go against these Vikings. And under High King Brian, I forget what his last name was. It just says under High King Brian in the in-class videos portion of Blackboard. Under him, they drove out the Vikings, and then they had their own country, and that was the only time it said at the end of the video that they had their own peacetime. So I believe that those that have called the Irish backwards and uncivilized are correct. I disagree with that, and I think it was just because it just wasn't their time yet. I think they just needed direction. They had everything else that they needed. They just needed direction, and I think we can see that under St. Patrick. I think St. Patrick was a huge part of that, and then High King Brian, who was the first king of Ireland, who, like I said, brought everyone together, and then as one whole, almost as a nation, I'd like to say, drove out all of the invaders, and that's the history of Ireland. So I disagree with that.